All right, guys, welcome back to another video. And if I start hiccuping, it's because this is the way I am. But it's week 16. Last week, I went an abysmal, horrifying 7-9. After, of course, this week, and a lot of it was just out of stupidity. And I mean, just saying, hey, well, if they play like this and their team play like this, then obviously going to have a better week. But obviously that didn't happen. So, but hopefully this week I'll do better. There's a good chance that I'm not going to do much better, if any better. But, every team's off their bye week. We got a lot of Christmas Eve games, a couple of Christmas games. And there we go. That's a hiccup. And, that's just what it is. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So for the first game, we've got the Falcons at the Ravens. The Falcons had a chance to go 6-8, maybe even take the division at that point. But sadly, they're in last place right now, and they're still in it. They're still in it. If they win out, they're still in it. But I mean, if the Bucs win out, they win the division. So it's just the way it is. And the Ravens losing in possibly the most undramatic to dramatic way possible. And now they're the 5th seed in the NFL. And I mean, the Falcons, they had Desmond Ridder, had the first start of his NFL career. And I mean, just the way it is, that they used their third string quarterback, and then Lamar Jackson will be available for this week. But I almost picked the Falcons, actually. I was very surprised by it. But I am going to pick the Ravens. And I mean, surprisingly enough, they're still in it. They are way in it still. I mean, because look, even if the Bucs win and then they lose out and they win out, they're still in it. But the Ravens win. Maybe both teams not even scored 10 points combined. I don't even know. So that's it for that prediction. And next up, we got the Saints at the Browns. The Saints winning in maybe the most undramatic way possible as well. And I mean, they just play like the Saints do. I mean, they're still in contention for the division, even with the 9 losses. They're still in contention, and we could potentially get home field advantage. And here's the thing: I saw something on Instagram. I mean, I don't really pay attention to Instagram that much, but I saw something today where Peyton Manning talked to the commissioner of the NFL and said they might think about actually just canceling the NFC South for this year because of that division being so bad. And I mean, looking at it this way, the AFC South is the same way. But however, it's just an abysmal piece of trash down there. I mean, our expectations said that, hey man, the Bucs are gonna run away with this division. Every team be 5-9, then be like whatever it be. But with all regards, it is what it is. And the Browns winning with Deshaun Watson looking a little bit better, throwing a touchdown. And I really had no idea who to pick in this one. I did pick the Saints, and it was a hard matchup to pick. I mean, look at it this way: it could be a defensive battle between, and there's another hiccup. You hear a lot of those. Looking at it this way, we can see a defensive battle of both of these guys. And the Saints could run away with it, try to get into contention for the division. Because see, look, the Panthers lose, which they might just, and if the Falcons lose, and if the Bucs lose to the Cardinals, then they're going to be 6-9, and they're going to be first in the division. So, I mean, a lot of things are looking good, looking up. But the Saints win in this one. And the next matchup is between the Raiders and the Steelers. The Raiders winning in the most unpredictable way possible, where Jacoby Myers threw it back. Chandler Jones picked it off, ran in for the pick six to win the game. And stiff arm Mac Jones. I mean, the more impossible way to win in the history of the NFL, pretty much. And I watched something this morning and said, what's going to be more memorable? The Vikings come back down 33-0, or the lateral effect, I'm going to call it. The lateral effect by the Raiders. And the Steelers, that's not my pick. The Steelers also won against the Panthers, trying to get back to a winning season. Maybe even trying to make a playoff appearance, but running this table, not the best situation to run the table. Because after this, I think they got to play I don't know. They could. I think they'll play the Browns in the last week. So, they could run the table. They could potentially run the table. And, I mean, it's not an easy stretch. I mean, they played the Browns in Week 18, I know. But after this, I think they go and play the Ravens. So, if they win, they could potentially run the table and maybe even make the playoffs. I mean, it's possible. I mean, look, if the Ravens lose out on the season, then it's possible they're going to make the playoffs. But that's not, the situation that we're in. But it is what it is. Now, I did pick the Raiders. I mean, I just left the check mark there because of the other matchup. But I think the Raiders, just the way they won last week, they had a lot of offense. And, I mean, the Steelers' defense is good. But I think this is where the buck stops here for the Steelers. And they're going to have – Mike Tomlin's going to have his first losing season as a Steelers head coach. Raiders win. All right, next up, this is actually a Monday night game. I mean, seriously, now I will give it up because this could be a pretty good game. This is Chargers and the Colts. The Chargers winning a last-second, pretty much like Hail Mary to get into field goal range in a thriller weekend, actually. And the Colts, this needs to be the last year of Matt Ryan. Now, I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be. I think next year they're going to turn it around and they're finally going to get it situated and around. But, think about how it's going to go. Matt Ryan could potentially retire after this season. But whenever he does retire, he's going to retire with the most blown leads in his NFL career. And we're talking about 28-3, 33-0. That's going to be what he's remembered for. And could he have a big lead in this one? I mean, there's a good chance that he won't, but there's a good chance that he won't even have the lead at all in this one. Now, I think this will be a closer game than normal. They're without Jonathan Taylor potentially for the rest of the year. And the Chargers, they look pretty healthy on Sunday. Threw a good pass to Mike Williams. If they play like that, and if they play like they can, postseason is on the rise. Now, I don't know who the remaining schedule for the Chargers are. But I think that with all of it being said, I think we can see a Chargers win in this one, going in 9-6 to have a back-to-back winning records. They're going to have to fight for it. Now, the Colts, they hosted Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago. They almost won. Did not win, but I think it's going to be a little closer, a little sketchier in this one. And next up, we got the Texans and the Titans. The Texans. Well, they went to overtime. They're getting close. They're getting close to a win. It may not happen, but who knows? The Titans played it close with the Chargers. They almost went to overtime. Sadly, did not. Now, with the way the Texans have been playing for the past 2 weeks, they played good against the Cowboys, potential Super Bowl favorite. And then, I mean, they're saying that they're not now, but I mean, they just had a bad week, right? I mean, the Jags might be better than them. Who knows? All right, and then the Titans, the way they played, they're without Ryan Tannehill. Malik Willis has he has confidence, but barely any confidence at all, if any. But, but he has no experience behind that offensive line. It's going to be abysmal. Now, the Texans, I believe they're going to get pressure. The Titans, they're going to get a lot of pressure on Davis Mills and this Jeff Driscoll guy that runs on an option play. Now, I know what you're going to say about this, but I'm actually going to pick the Texans to upset them for their 5th straight loss. And I'm going to say, why in the hell would you pick them? Because, look, with the way the Titans have been playing for the past 4 weeks, they played a lot of tough people. But, I mean, they're saying, this could be an easy win, right? The Texans won here last year to get their 2nd win of the season. And they're going to do it again, I think. Now, I know, like I said, I know what you're saying. They're eliminated from playoff contention. They don't have anything to play for. Well, they're playing for potential upset to end people's seasons. And not a lot of people expected the Titans to be really good. But, look, before Thanksgiving break, they were 7-3. They hadn't won a game in a month. And the Texans are just playing for an upset. I think they're going to upset them. It's going to come down to a field goal, I think. And I think if the Jags win, which there probably is a good chance that they will, not the greatest, but a good chance, Jags take the division. Imagine that, guys. Anyway, moving on. And now for a little bit of a coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup. It's between the Packers and the Dolphins. The Packers winning on Monday night, and although it was a little bit closer, and they had offense moving, and I thought it was going to be a little bit closer, but wasn't really. The Dolphins almost won against the Bills. The snow came in the last minute. They got a little bit deteriorated, and they lost. Now, I do see the Dolphins winning, and if they lose, they're out of the playoffs. I mean, that is crazy, right? Not as crazy enough as you'd think, right? Because, to look at it from my perspective, I think the Dolphins will make the playoffs, and they will, make a pretty good run in the postseason. However, as it does pertain to the postseason, this would end the Packers' season ultimately because of the Lions in second place. They're going to try to make a run. They've won 3 straight now, and they're trying to win another 3 straight. Now, this is going to be a pretty good game, but the reason I'm not picking Aaron Rodgers is because he does not do good in Florida. Now, he did win last year in Florida. This is because Brady could not find himself early on in the season. So, the Dolphins win, a pretty close one, I think it's a Christmas game. I don't know. But anyway, they win. And next up, the battle between Alabama and LSU. We've got the Bengals playing the Patriots. Now, I thought that Mac Jones and Joe Burrow played each other in college. They didn't. So, But they almost did. If Burrow stayed another year, they probably would have. Now, the Bengals, they played pretty good. They were shut out almost 17-3 in the first half. Scores 20. No. They scored 31 straight points. 31 straight points because of the turnover margin that they played. Now, with the way that the Patriots played, they had offense. They had offense too. Now, I realize that, with the way that the Bengals defense is looking, they don't have Trey Hendrickson. They're probably not going to have Sam Hubbard. So, I would really give it to the Patriots. But their linebackers are playing great. Their defense is playing great. Look, we saw how they played against the Chiefs with Samaje Perine and others that really hadn't started a game. They still played great. and they still won the games that they played. And I am going to pick the Bengals to win. It's going to come down to like a last possession, maybe a last-minute field goal, because the Patriots, they play hard. They're trying to make it to the postseason. And on Christmas Eve, I mean, it could come down to the wire. It is going to be cold, bitter cold, and nobody likes bitter cold. Well, you know. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Bengals to win in a close one. And now going back to the beginning of the week between the Jags and the Jets. The Jaguars. Surprising a couple people. Now, some people did pick the Jags because they can play people close. But now, they're starting to look for real. They played the Cowboys great. They had great defense. And really, it came down to how they got that stop. And because Dak didn't really make any, conventional throws. But they came back in that game. They played the Cowboys like they wanted to go to the playoffs. Now they have another great test between them and the Jets. Now the Jets, they got to play the Seahawks next week in Seattle. And both teams trying to make a playoff push there. Now, I would like to pick the Jets. They got Zach Wilson there. They're not going to start Mike White. And that might come down to it because I'm going to pick the Jaguars to get another win and potentially take the division. If the Texans get the win and they get the win, then they make the postseason. But they got to win out. They can't lose. Plus, Trevor Lawrence is hot. He's getting better. Looking like the franchise quarterback that they thought that they had. So for that reason, I am picking the Jaguars. And next up, we got the Seahawks at the Chiefs. Now, we expected this game just be the easy Chiefs win. They were going to have it. This game's looking to be a little bit of a harder win to get. They played great ball throughout the year. They're on a losing streak of, 2 now? 2. And, it's starting to look more like 4 or 5 to the end of the year. Now, they could get the win here. And if they do, then, postseason is looking more likely, but not much more likely because, look, if they lose and the Lions win, the Lions move up to the 8th spot right behind the Commanders. And if the Commanders lose, they get into the playoffs. That's a lot to say. Now, at the way that it's looking like that the Chiefs are going to win this one. Now, I am going to pick the Chiefs. But, hey, the Seahawks could get the upset here. Geno has played great football. Patrick Mahomes played great, but he didn't play at his greatest. So, for that reason, I am going to pick the Chiefs. But don't be surprised if the Seahawks win. It would actually be a little surprise, but you never know. And next up, we've got the Bills at the Bears. The Bills winning. And we finally got to see the snow that we all wanted. And the Bears, they almost won. It was a cold 20-degree day. And it was just cold. It's going to be 20s here on Friday. So, yeah. I am going to pick the Bills. But it is going to be a close one because the Bears play people close. And, to be honest, if, for some reason that, that the Bears would play out of their minds because Justin Fields, I don't know if he's over 1,000 yards, but, he could be, is playing out of his mind late in the year. And listen, if they won all these close games, they probably won more than 3 or 4 games throughout the entire year. But I'm going to pick the Bills to win another close one. And next up, we've got the Giants at the Vikings. The lights are blinking again. The Giants, I did not pick them. I picked the Commanders to win. Look what that happened. Kayvon Thibodeau played like he deserved to be the defensive player, maybe the defensive rookie, maybe the defensive player of the year in the first half. Now, second half, he died down a little bit, but played great that entire game. And the Vikings, the story of the weekend Well, that one play by Chandler Jones was another, headline of the weekend. But the story of the weekend was they came back 33-0, and in the largest comeback in NFL history, 1 point above the Bills against the Oilers. And played good offense in the second half. They played like they deserved to be Super Bowl champions. Now, I would really like to play the Giants because the momentum leading into this game is going to be high. They're going to be on some stuff. They may even be on crystal meth, which is illegal. But I am going to pick the Vikings because, look at this, guys. If they win like 2 more games throughout the entire season, now, yes, I do have full realization that they do have to play the Eagles in week 18 on the road. They have to go into Philly to try to get some kind of win. I don't know who they play next week, but whoever they play next week could possibly get them into the postseason. It just makes sense, right? It really makes a lot of sense there. But yeah, Vikings win, and a little bit of a close one. The Giants play like they did last week. It's going to be a close one. May even get the win, but who knows? Vikings win. And next up, we got a coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup. In what my opinion, it could have been. Now, the reason it's a coulda, shoulda, woulda in this situation because we thought that both these teams would be horrid to the ground up. Or the ground down. But the Lions playing out of their minds once again, getting the 3rd straight win. And they would have gotten their 6th straight win of the season. No. Their 7th straight win of the season had they not lost to the Bills at home. Now, I would like to say this very much so, that the Lions are a lot better this year than they were last year. And if they win out, I think even if they lose 1 game, they're going to make the postseason. Because as we're seeing it this way, like if the Seahawks, they win against the Jets game, but they lose the next week, and if they win 2 more games, that they're in the postseason, even if they lose to the Packers. I don't know. I just think that's how it's going to go. The Panthers, they lost, but they could have won. And they could have had the division right in their grasp, but two wrongs don't make a right, potentially. So I'm going to pick the Lions. They're playing a lot better with Sam Darnold, I think. Just not up to their full potential. Lions, they're playing to their full potential. Jared Goff is playing like he deserves to get a late MVP vote. But I am going to pick the Lions to win in this one. And now what is maybe even a coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup is maybe the game of the week, maybe the game of the year between the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Eagles winning in kind of a close one. There's a 5-point game against the Bears. Now, they said that Jalen Hurts got hurt, but we'll get into that in a minute. And the Cowboys losing to Jacksonville, they could have won. I think they're in the playoffs because of the loss by the Commanders and the wins by the Giants. Now, this is still the game of the year because, look, Gardner Minshew could come in, and he played great, and it was against the Jets, who were not all that great last year. But he still got the win, and he still threw 150,000 dots, and I haven't even watched the game. Now, if Jalen Hurts can't play, this is going to be a game of the year candidate in Dallas. But if not, we're going to say, well, we're never going to get a good game again because the NFL is rigged and we can't have that. Now, for reasons unknown about Jalen Hurts on a Tuesday afternoon, I am going to pick the Cowboys to get the win, and a big win. They're hunting for the 1 seed, but it's not going to be a good 1 seed. It's going to be an unlikely 1 seed. But if they lose, that's all right because they're in the postseason, right? I think Philly just has the division already. the way it is. They've clinched the division. Haven't clinched the 1 seed. But if they win this game today, they already clinched the 1 seed. So, watch out coming in to Dallas as they get the win, I think. And next up, we've got a little bit of a coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup between the Bucs and the Cardinals. Now, the reason it is because some people expected the Cardinals to be good. A lot of other people expected them to be kind of a little bit on the downside this year. But we got the Bucs, who are 6-8, expected to maybe turn around, maybe. But that's the thing, right? We don't always get what we want. And I'm going to pick the Bucs because they can't lose 3 straight. He lost 3 straight earlier in the year, so he's not going to lose it again. Now, it could be a little bit closer. It is on Christmas, so Cardinals could get the win. Bucs, they need to bounce back big because their schedule is not tough after this. So if they win this game, they might as well go on to the postseason. But as I said before, they could cancel it. Anyway, Bucs win, close one. And next up, what could have been the biggest coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup of the entire season. It's the Broncos at the Rams. The Rams out of playoff contention. The Broncos out of playoff contention. What are we playing for? Just give us another game and just go on with your bad self because we're watching I want to say it, the worst teams in the NFL, and it's just going to be between Brett Rypien and Baker Mayfield. Or John Wolford. We don't even know those people, basically. Now, I did pick the Broncos because Broncos country is not riding much anymore. They're just being sad and depressed. That's what it is. But Brett Rypien apparently showed out, as I heard. So Broncos win and they ride, but not with Russell Wilson, and they lose. Anyway, moving on to another matchup. And on to another matchup that, it's not even a primetime game. The last matchup between the Commanders and the Niners. Niners win. I'm just giving insta wins now because, to be honest, they're playing out of their minds. And you know what? It's not even Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. It's Brock Purdy, guys. He's playing like he deserves the MVP, and it's his rookie year. Now, I don't think they're going to go to the postseason this year, but what they're doing with Taylor Heinicke, they're not necessarily the best team in the league, but they're better than some teams out there. Now, I just think they're going to get another win sometime this season. Just not, a big win. For the 49ers, they're going to win and just win. And thank you guys for watching another video of this. You guys did not watch the last one. Why? I know it's kind of embarrassing, record 52 views, and then nobody saw anything. I get it. It's the last week, for school, but this is the last week, guys. I get it. None of y'all saw my Thanksgiving one, but still, just come on. Anyway, week 17, week 18 coming up, and I'll see you guys then.